r/HOA. HOA got a reserve study with safety code violations. Our HOA had building code violations found 2 years ago. The board refused to fix them, so the city sued. The board refuses to raise the annual budget since 2012, and it seems like anyone who gets on the board is refusing to do anything that is required by the bylaws. The PM is corrupt, and the management company is in bed with the president as they are creating fraudulent resale certificates, despite the entire building has massive water damage, which explains why no red flags happened when people bought a unit. The board finally got a reserve study. Instead of giving the unit owners the reserve study, they revised it and are refusing to fix safety and code violations. For 4 years due to cost. This is literally a cost of $5,000 each unit owner. The reserve study also stated we needed major special assessments to put money in the reserves. It also stated that the board removed the cost of inflation as well as it removed any exterior limited common elements, which makes no sense to a lender. I want to put my unit up for sale too, but with the refusal of the board to follow any of the reserve study recommendations, plus the safety code violations, what can I do? I have a lawyer, but when is it receiver time? My lawyer worries if we get a receiver, then the true issues of the building will come out and no one can afford to fix the issues, so the building will vote to sell back to a developer. I told the lawyer that this is an HOA. If my unit's good, but the overall building structure is bad anyway, and we have no one to be board members to fix the issues, then a receiver is the only possibility to save the building. The water damage has likely gone on since 2016, with people's roofs and the masonry. Thoughts?
The owners should get together and sue the HOA, the management co, and the board members themselves. Those board members have fiduciary responsibility to act in the best interest of the owners. If they are not doing that, and sounds like they aren't, they can be held liable for their failure to act.
The homeowners need to not sue the HOA, which would just mean suing themselves, but instead kick the president out of office, take over control, and then the HOA should sue the PM and the now former president.
I wish. Every single member of the association thinks that water damage from the roof is just fine, and I was impatient when my roof leaked for years. This was through a realtor. No one person thinks this is not normal. I tried to run for office. No one wants to hear that it is not normal to not do repairs year after year.
Well, then I guess this counts as the other homeowners refusing to meet their obligations to you. In that case, then I would sue the HOA.
Why would you sue the management company? They just carry out the board's decision.
Because there is insurance fraud and fraudulent resale certificates. Last time I counted probably 15 fake resale certificates. That's bad, right? If the PM participated in insurance fraud, right? I'm 100% sure.
Sell.
Haha, putting my unit up for sale to show damages. But once you have black mold, structural damage to the building, and the city is suing you for code violations, no bank will lend, no normal homeowner's insurance will insure my unit, no one is going to buy into a building that looks like the Surfside. Bottom line is it comes down to insurance. It's much harder to get insurance when they realize your building is a lemon. The best part, if I do sell, I have to disclose everything or I will be sued for my HOA's negligence. It's ridiculous.
Lincoln Park. Developers are looking for property to redevelop. You think BlackRock cares whether there is mold or not? Nope. Get 2/3 or 80%, or whatever your declaration says, of the owners to agree to sell and deconvert. Bail out.
I agree with you, but my neighbors are a bunch of idiots. They will claw onto their homes until the insurance cancels us, and then act surprised. The board president told everyone the emperor has no clothes, and that a roof x-ray meant no roof repairs needed to happen. And everyone listened. This was right after the Surfside collapsed. If it were up to me, I can afford the $150,000 and wait out the mess. Cheaper than getting a house. Can you give me a list of developers? I'm going to start doing the research.
Given your post and your comments, what does your lawyer say about the concept of asking a court to appoint a representative to replace the board and straighten things out? I'm not a lawyer, but a past HOA president and current HOA resident. I would approach this like a corporate bankruptcy and see if there is an avenue to resolution in that path. And with the code violations, there might be an avenue via code enforcement departments. Unfortunately, this is common. I was in another HOA where the prez collected proxies and was untouchable. Long-term owners that bought 20 plus years ago really couldn't afford to live there now and do the required upkeep, so reserves were non-existent, and dues barely covered routine expenses.
This is the main problem. 1. Lawyers are focused on the small picture, fixing my unit. 2. The problem isn't my unit, it's now all units. Lawyers should be checking with the professionals before they argue. If you have no board members to manage the building, then it's receiver time. The only thing that happened since the lawyers, both sides, came on board is that the damage got worse. My lawyer is just like all of the lawyers. They live in a house and can't understand HOAs. Just like what you said, people can't afford the maintenance. But if I ask 10 of my friends about home maintenance, I'm pretty sure not one understands it until it's an emergency. And yes, I left a 30-story HOA for the same reasons. 15 years ago, I dated a VC funder who told me owning a condo was stupid. It was 2007 I thought he was not forward-thinking. 2008 happened, and I now think he was a genius. I actually think owning a home is overrated. I've been in a rental that the management company is amazing, but the real estate market is screwed up. Home inspections don't include mold or structure. I've gone to so many open houses that the realtor is trying to tell me no reserves are normal, as I saw a deck falling apart and the gutter needed to be replaced. The place sold in 2 days. 2 years from now, they will figure out the problems. But I was just as stupid the first time I bought my condo too. This time around, it was the realtors who missed the water damage, not me.
Then you have the wrong type of lawyer. You need an HOA lawyer. Have you actually spoken to your neighbors about the issues to try to get them on board? To try to speak to the fact they will have difficulty selling out the fact that their home value is going down or is nothing if it is impossible to sell?
You would think city code violations would clue them in. Nope. My unit is paid off, or I would have gone that route with my bank. We literally had no repairs for over 6 years that were needed. The reserve report they got 9 months ago said the building was in trouble financially and structurally. The board revised that report and refused to follow the guidelines. Can you say stupid?
You and other like-minded owners must run for election and then work to make the needed changes.
Boy, I never thought of that. Oh wait, already did. There aren't any like-minded people.
So the other owners don't care that they won't be able to sell and their home has no value because of that? If they have mortgages, the bank would certainly care, although I'm not sure how you'd get them involved.
If you would have seen all of my campaigning, I literally gave them cans to show them that we kicked the can too long. Several people put it back in my unit. The board president even refused my certified letters. The city is suing, and they pay a lawyer to refuse to fix the violations. The building knows the city is, and they don't care. I think this is a case of people like the Surfside. They don't believe that my issues are their issues. One unit owner actually told me, when I said I was suing years ago, "I hope you win. You can't change stupid." The answer is yes, they do not care. To be fair, I have a friend who is board president, and the building is falling apart. She argued with me that their reserves, $4,000 for 6 units, was lean and mean. Ask the average person if they know their financials for their condo large or small. Most of my friends do not.
I'm surprised there could be that many that don't care. One other thing to consider, though. When talking to them, could your approach be the issue? We had an owner in our condos at one time that ran to be on our board. He wanted to increase fees, spend more money on repairs, etc. He was actually right in the things he wanted to do, but his approach and the way he came across was a huge turnoff to everyone, which is why he never made it on the board. I'm sure he wasn't even aware of it. Just something to consider. I think appealing to the other owners, showing current value of the homes and comparable value similar homes, and how nothing changes, they ultimately will be worth nothing, and how much money they could lose could help persuade them.
I would be too. But after I spent a summer carpooling with a friend and saw her place, I was shocked that she was the board president. Her home was leaking, the building was falling apart, and they had $4,000 in reserves. She complained that her value of her home should be going up. The roof was from 1998. I keep seeing the same issues. People look at Zillow and think it's real.
Sounds like your neighbors are all broke. I'm not sure how you fix that. It seems they don't want to raise fees because they can't afford to. Zillow is real or close to it, but Zillow assumes good condition.
No, the neighbors are all stupid. Most do not read the financials. Fraudulent resale certificates and insurance fraud always have a way of coming back to haunt you. My friend is also being stupid. She's going to wake up and find out her building is in worse shape than mine.
You should have worked to get upheld on the board, along with other owners who care about the value of their home, so you could fix the budget and make repairs. That likely is still your best bet.
I've tried. The intelligent unit owners moved out. It's a small building, but the unit owners probably can't afford to live here, so they ignore me. We've switched board members, and they just keep getting more code violations. Who revises a reserve report's recommendations to remove the proper funding to make the building not be in compliance with financials and maintenance. Oh wait, it's the same board that does insurance fraud and gave out fraudulent resale certificates. Think the Surfside, they knew and didn't care. Same thing here. Volunteers don't care. 2 bad apples and a bad PM who are stealing can do a lot of damage. They know about the city code violations, but they assume that city code violations are normal? That is so funny. The elections were fixed, and people don't care. I did so much campaigning, want to know what happened. They dropped 2 board seats, so I would T-win. What do you think happened at the Surfside? I have a friend who lives in a 6 flat. I watched her while place fall apart this summer, and she's president of an HOA. She told me her roof was from 1998 and was leaking. I told her she's going to get sued. She ignored me. I have multiple friends who live in aging buildings. None of them know their financials. This building has 15 units. I left a building with over 400 units when I realized they were headed in the toilet. Always easy to assume people want to understand their investment. Most don't.
Was there someone else running with you? Because if there wasn't, then they would need to remove 2 board seats, as you couldn't have an even number. You can get on the board and can't get the boards to change, and they aren't following the rules, then your only option is to sue or sell. Weren't some of the other board members up for election as well, though? Couldn't you have run for one of their positions, and if you had enough votes, get them off the board? Either way, though, you alone won't be able to do it. You'll need the majority to agree with you.
I ran 2 years in a row. Unfortunately, we are at the end of the line. The structure might be rotted from all of the water damage for years. I am suing, but the lawyers seem to be arguing over my repairs. I'm trying to understand why that insurance lawyer is letting the entire building get worse. A building engineer viewed the building, the structure might be rotted out, and then it's going to have to come to a vote if we sell the building back to a receive. 2 years ago, we got 2 new board members, but they literally think water damage is normal.
What kept you from winning? You couldn't get anyone else to back you?
The board president. No one believes water damage is bad. The treasurer wrote on the financials that the expenses were commingled, that all of the units have water damage, but it's fixable. I have email after email that water damage is okay, so the evidence is in plain sight. The financials show fraud and stealing.
So you didn't get enough votes, or they didn't handle the election properly?
This year, I believe I was short by 5 votes. Each unit gets 5 votes. Each person who runs gets to pick their position. When we had 5 positions, I would have easily won. So last year, when it became apparent that 4 people were running for 5 spots, this was typical for years, they suddenly extended the deadline, and 2 people came on and said, "We are running so we can cut the board down to 3, 5 positions and 6 spots." I lost, and they illegally cut the positions down to 3 without an association vote. Doesn't matter. The building may be garbage, as the resale certificates, including mine, fraudulent. So these unit owners are creating their own demise by not paying attention. Common sense is not common.
Just to mention, careful what you wish for. A receivership is probably more expensive than all of what you mention. You will have a law firm at law firm hourly rates dictate every part of the HOA operation. The receiver will remove the board, remove the management company, and reset the bylaws and covenants. It can cost you millions. Your best move is to move. Your second best move is to run for the board with like-minded people and right the ship. Everything you have listed above is fixable. A reserve study never recommends crushing special assessments. They calculate reserve requirements and recommend assessments to meet those requirements. If someone told you something different than that, they are lying or simply uneducated in reserve study generation. Get to work.
I don't wish for this, but the structure may be ruined. I will agree. I think the repairs will be $1,000 plus all of those fees. But if the building is completely ruined, I've discovered resale certificates are fraudulent, so the building has been damaged for over 10 years, then it's better to get a receiver in force, a vote to sell back to a developer, and call it a day. This is like the Surfside, so time is not on our side. We don't have any insurance companies that will insure us after the mess the board has made. That's why I'm asking about receivership. It might be that only way from the building being condemned.
Welp, that's all we have for this one. Hopefully OP gets their situation settled. I will keep tabs on this post and update you guys on any new developments to come. All I can say is this just reinforces one thing. F HOAs. Finally, I have decided that I will post weekly videos on Tuesdays from now on. I will try to upload earlier than this one, probably about 8 AM EST, or sometime in the evening prior. As usual, link to the original post will be in the description. And once again, I'm always open to criticism. Anything you guys can tell me will help. Let me know what you guys thought of the story in the comments, and share any stories you guys might have as well. The link to the original post, as always, will be in the description, and make sure to follow for new videos every week.